I became an internet sensation because of a love-struck piece I wrote. And suddenly everyone in the country knew me as Aubrey Thornton's devoted admirer. At first, people wanted to criticize me, but after seeing Aubrey Thornton's photo, they all said, understandable. With those looks, I'd be smitten too, they said. They gave me sympathetic glances and even tagged me under videos of beautiful women on Reddit. Poor little lovesick puppy, your boyfriend just liked this. You might lose him to this beauty. I found it both amusing and exasperating. I did write that piece. But Aubrey wasn't the subject of it at all. Aubrey Thornton bent down, tapping my head. Stop making excuses. Who else could it be? You don't have any male friends besides me, not even a dog. We've been together for 3 years now. Why are you still so clingy? I'm getting a bit bored of you. What should we do? It was clear he was really tired. After all, none of his previous girlfriends had lasted more than 3 months. 3 years was far too long. He ruffled my hair. Be a good girl, go buy 2 cups of English breakfast tea. No ice in hers. He pointed at Winifred Faraday sitting in the stands. Saw it off. I swatted his hand away. His mate standing nearby jeered, ooh, the little bunny's rebelling. Can you handle her, Aubrey? He didn't get angry, but smiled instead. You lot don't know anything. Her mouth says no, but she'll still be crying for me tonight. I couldn't be bothered with him anymore and walked away with my backpack. That evening, he knocked on my door and handed me a cup of tea. Why didn't you wait for me to finish basketball? Don't tell me you're jealous because I bought tea for someone else. I'm not. Yeah, right. Your face is all red with anger. Have you been crying again? He looked at me smugly. You need to learn to adapt. You can't be my girlfriend if you're this insecure. I sighed, then let's not be together anymore. He froze for a moment. Are you serious? Before I could finish, he pinned me against the wall with one hand and kissed me. The moment his lips touched mine, I instinctively pushed him away and slapped him across the face. He stood there, completely stunned. Meredith West, you've done it now. For the 3 years I'd been with Aubrey Thornton, I had always been like a dog by his side. How could a dog hit its master? This was the first time I'd ever slapped him. Seeing the red mark on his face, I came to my senses. I'm sorry. Does it hurt? Don't touch me. He turned his face away. Just you wait. Even if you write 10 apology messages begging on your knees, I won't forgive you. He stormed off to his room after throwing out that threat. He was right. Later that night, I ended up writing him several messages. After sending quite a few, he finally replied with a £20 transfer. What does this mean? I asked him. That's payment for your messages. Stop bothering me. I stared at the money transfer, feeling a bit heartbroken. But not long after, he screenshot my messages and posted them online with the caption, "Who can relate?" Being pestered by a girl like this, I can't even play my game in peace. When my best friend Hazel sent me the viral video, I was making English breakfast tea for Aubrey. Have you two had another row? She asked. You know his condition, I sighed. Even if he has a heart condition, you shouldn't coddle him like this. He was just playing video games with Winifred. He looks perfectly fine to me, not ill at all. Right, I understand. I put down my phone and placed the tea and pre-sorted pills outside Aubrey's door. Your medicine is at the door. Remember to take it. Half an hour later, I went to check and saw that both the tea and pills were gone. Only then did I return to my room, feeling relieved. Back in my room, I started writing in my diary. Uncle Swain, how are you over there? I upset Aubrey today. When he's angry, he looks just like you, similar eyes and expression, similar temperament, yet different. He loses his temper when he's angry, but when you were cross, you'd still make me hot tea every night. Remember to pick me up from school on rainy days, and carry me to the hospital on your back when I had a high fever. He says his heart hurts when he's angry. Was it the same for you? If I'd known, I wouldn't have upset you back then. I really don't fancy you anymore, you know. You can marry any woman you like now, I promise I won't interfere. So, can you come back? Can you come back? I've asked this question so many times without an answer. How could I possibly hear a reply? He's long gone, after all. Swain Thornton was Aubrey Thornton's uncle. When I was 9, the Thornton group took me from the orphanage, but after they had established their charitable image, no one wanted me anymore. In the end, the Thorntons dumped me on Swain, their youngest son with the worst reputation. Unexpectedly, Swain raised me for 10 years. He played both father and mother, spoiling me rotten. How spoiled was I? On the night he was set up on a blind date by his family, 18-year-old me slipped into his room wearing a strappy dress and confessed my feelings. I'm 18 now. I can play the piano and dance. I might not be as pretty as her now, but give me a few more years. Anyway, I want to compete with her fair and square. He grabbed me and asked, compete for what? You. He suddenly laughed, rather mischievously, anytime you want, just lift a finger and I'll come running. No need for competition. Silly girl, you're prettier than her. He got up, wrapped me in a bedsheet, and carried me back to my room. But I could never fancy you. Why not? My heart sank. I'm your uncle, and besides, I don't like this. He glanced at my dress with disapproval. Don't dress like this in the future. It doesn't suit you. But she dresses like this. She's an adult. You're a child. I still didn't give up, pestering him about why he didn't like me. Even his friends knew about it. Once in his study, his friend asked him, "She's 18, you're 27. 9 years isn't that big a gap. Your little niece is quite lovely. Are you sure you're not tempted? She's just a kid." His firm attitude made me cry all night. The night before his engagement, we had our most intense argument ever. Meredith, have I been too lenient with you? Is this how a child should behave? Because I love you, I cried, clutching at his sleeve. Uncle, is there really no chance you could love me back? He paused for a moment before replying, it's impossible. I turned and shut the door. An hour passed, and he was still outside my room. Stop crying. What can I do to make you feel better? Never let me see you again. That night I locked myself in my room. He anxiously stood guard outside all night, finally sending me a message. I'm going abroad. Take care of yourself. The wedding was called off, and he left for another country, only to die on that flight. Every day since then, I've been tormented by guilt, wondering if he would still be alive if I hadn't been so selfish. After Swain left, I couldn't move on. Until I met Aubrey at school. He looked so much like him. When he smiled, it was identical. I never intended anything with Aubrey. I just went to the edge of the sports field every day to watch him play, looking up at him, quietly being a passerby in his life. One afternoon, after half a year of watching, he accidentally hit me with the ball. You've been watching me every day. Want to be my girlfriend? He asked. What? It was the first time I'd spoken to him, and I was incredibly nervous. All right, I accept, he said. If I don't, they'll say you've turned into a statue sitting here waiting for me. He took off his dirty shirt and handed it to me. Wash this for me. It's your reward. I stared at him blankly. But with that face, I couldn't refuse. I washed his shirt. Once I'd done it once, there was bound to be a second time. At first, it was just his clothes, but later it included his mates, and at most, even Winifred's. Seeing him flirt with other girls while having that face made my heart ache again. But he was never short of romantic interests, and he never set clear boundaries with other girls. I don't want to wash them, I said, returning the clothes to him. Fine, then don't expect to see me again, he replied. I lost our first argument. Within a week, I was sending him long messages. Because he was avoiding me, and not seeing him was driving me mad. I gave him the washed clothes, and he tossed them in a perfect arc to Winifred. Well done, Aubrey. You've won again, she said. Winifred sent him a 20-pound gift on WhatsApp. His mates all wore pained expressions. I realized then that his inhuman behavior was just part of a bet. He was always the wastrel son of a wealthy family, uneducated and unambitious. Anyone and anything in his eyes was just a game. I returned to my seat and took out my diary. Uncle Swain, he's really nothing like you. Before the accident, Swain was a brilliant entrepreneur, known throughout the business world for his intelligence from a young age. Although he had once been as wild and reckless as Aubrey, things changed when he was called to a parents' evening by my form tutor. The tutor told him that my essays and thinking were completely unfocused on my studies, and that parents needed to set a good example. After that, he started to change his ways. When his friends came to the house with tattoos, he sent them away. There's a student in the house. How does it look having a little bird drawn on your arm? Get out, and don't come back. When his mates invited him out drinking, he always declined. I have things to do at home. People outside were gossiping that Mr. Thornton was keeping a young mistress, otherwise why would he go home every night at 8 p.m.? But in reality, he would quietly sit beside me while I did my homework, always ready to simply explain anything I didn't understand. Even when it came to women, though many were introduced to him, he always politely refused. I won't consider it until Meredith goes to university, he'd say. So why did he start going on blind dates in the end? Because he discovered my diary. In it, I'd written, "Last night I stole a kiss from Uncle." His eyelashes are so long, and my heart was racing. He didn't wake up, but I couldn't sleep all night. He must have been frightened by it. I had been so anxious the night before because when he came to pick me up from school, there was another woman in the car. That woman was holding his arm and said to his face, "Mr. Thornton, is this your daughter? She's quite cute." But behind his back, she warned me, "Little girl, don't think that just because you don't like me, Mr. Thornton will reject me because of you. You're just someone he took in, not his real daughter. Don't think you're so important." That night, I snuck into his room and deleted the woman's number from his phone. I had only meant to delete a phone number, but then I saw a message from that woman to him. "Swain darling, I really like your daughter. Can I come to your house this weekend? I'd love to teach her how to bake a cake. Get lost, you fake cow." I was so angry I couldn't think straight. An overwhelming sense of possessiveness made me lose control, and I kissed Swain under the cover of darkness. I wrote this in my diary and left it open in his study. The diary was deliberately left for him to see. It was my first attempt at testing the waters in 18 years. The result was a failure. Swain went on countless blind dates after that, making sure I knew about each one. I knew what that meant. He didn't like me. That evening, Aubrey Thornton went to the pub. However, he had promised me he wouldn't go. He has a heart condition, and the doctor said he could exercise but not drink alcohol. Meredith, didn't you want to break up? Why do you still care what I do? I knew he was still upset about my protest the other day. Still angry? I asked. Yes. He looked at me irritably. No girl in this world has ever dared to say the words "break up" to me. I couldn't understand. He clearly didn't like me, obviously had multiple flirtations with other girls, yet suddenly became furious just because I mentioned breaking up once. Not wanting to argue, I looked at him calmly. You've already written that post and shared it online. The whole world knows I'm chasing after you now. Stop making a fuss. The doctor said you can't drink. Don't joke with your health. So afraid I'll die? Hearing the word die made my heart ache. Yes, I admitted. Then beg me, he demanded. I stared at his face, lost in thought, then gave in. Aubrey, please don't drink. His mood seemed to improve a bit. He reached out his hand, gesturing for me to take it. It's my mate's birthday. It would be rude not to go. If they try to make me drink, you'll be there to stop them, right? I looked at him for a few seconds, but ultimately didn't take his hand. Let's go then. It wasn't the first time I'd run interference for Aubrey's drinking. I used to never touch alcohol, but to be honest, my tolerance is quite good now. Why are you being difficult? Just hold my hand when I tell you to. He took my hand himself. I wanted to tell him I wasn't crying in the middle of the night because of him. But never mind. I didn't want to see him lose it. Later, when his friends were drunk, everyone started playing Truth or Dare, with jokes becoming increasingly crude. When it was Aubrey's turn to lose, he chose truth. One of his friends asked, "When was the last time you two, you know?" The air suddenly went quiet. That question was a bit too far. Aubrey looked at me helplessly. "I'll drink for him," I said, preparing to take Aubrey's punishment. "What's the rush, sis?" His friend stopped me. "Aubrey, if you don't answer, does that mean you two haven't done it yet?" The group burst into laughter. Aubrey's face darkened. It had been 3 years, and he wanted to take things further with me, but I couldn't accept it. We'd argued about this several times already, and each time I'd smooth things over with a heartfelt message. "Piss off." He lit cigarette after cigarette, looking disdainful. "She cries so much every time it makes me panic." How am I supposed to remember when the last time was? "Mate, you're something else. You should be gentler with her." He wasn't wrong. Every time he tried to do anything with me, I'd cry, and he'd lose interest in continuing. As for why he'd say such ambiguous things, using our private matters as conversation fodder, I couldn't understand. "We want to see Aubrey tame his girl live. Give her a kiss. Kiss. Kiss." Everyone started chanting. Normally I was already reluctant about Aubrey's kisses, let alone in this situation. So when he came over and put his arm around me, about to kiss me, I pushed him away. But egged on by the others, he forcibly kissed me anyway. The people around us were taking photos. I was utterly mortified. "Aubrey Thornton, you bastard." I turned and walked away. "Meredith West. Stop right there." Aubrey's shout came from behind. "If you dare leave, don't ever come back." I couldn't be bothered with him and walked straight out. He forcefully pulled me into a private room. "What are you angry about? What right do you have to be angry with me?" He kissed me frantically. "Why do you always resist me? It's been 3 years and you won't let me touch you. What exactly do you mean by this? Aubrey, I don't like you acting like this." The difference in strength was too great. No matter how much I struggled, I was no match for a frenzied Aubrey. "Today I'm going to touch you whether you like it or not." It wasn't until my tears fell on his face that he barely regained a shred of reason. "What have I done to you? Why are you always crying? Go ask around, who else has a boyfriend with 3 years of patience?" I looked at him woodenly. "You can find someone else." His expression suddenly changed, and he kicked over a stool. "You really think I, Aubrey Thornton, can't do without you? I've told you before, you can find someone else." When he walked out of the room, he was furious. I left crying afterwards. I didn't even know why I was crying. Perhaps it was because my torn clothes made me look too disheveled standing on the street. Or maybe it was standing at the crossroads with a light drizzle falling, the person who used to hold an umbrella over my head now gone. "Uncle, I miss you." That night, I didn't go back to the place I shared with Aubrey. Instead, I went to the house where I used to live with my uncle. I hadn't been back since Uncle passed away. I used to go to the famous abbey every day to pray for him. If he could come back, I would do everything he wanted. I'd get into university, find a boyfriend, get married after graduation, and live a normal life. If only he could come back. But no miracle ever happened. The next day, I returned to the flat I shared with Aubrey Thornton. Firstly, I needed to collect my belongings. Secondly, he had sent me some threatening messages last night. Initially, I agreed to live with Aubrey to take care of him conveniently. He had a heart condition, often forgot to take his medication, and had some unhealthy habits. I became his free caretaker, looking after him like a mother hen. Swain used to have a heart condition too, but he never told me. I only found out after his death when I saw numerous medications in his room. I realized that every time I lost my temper with him, his heart would ache, but he never said a word. After learning about Aubrey's heart condition, I always treated him with utmost care, thinking it was my way of atonement. But after 3 years, I increasingly doubted whether what I was doing was right. Even when I felt a flutter in my heart, I wondered if it was for him or for the person who shared his similar features. Carrying such pain, it was better to part ways amicably. As I was changing my shoes at the entrance, I noticed a pair of women's shoes. I stared at them for a couple of seconds before hearing a familiar voice from the room. "You must be part dog, my back is nearly broken," it was Winifred. "Get up, will you? Do you want porridge or toast?" "Whatever." "Don't bother me," this was Aubrey. "Didn't you enjoy it last night?" I took half a minute to process what had happened last night, feeling too awkward to decide whether to enter or leave. At that moment, Winifred came out. Meredith. Her voice was neither loud nor soft, with a hint of surprise and some smugness. When Aubrey ran out, he was still wrapped in a towel. To be honest, seeing him like this made my heart twinge. "You finally decided to come back," he shouted at me. "She's wearing my slippers," I calmly pointed at the slippers on Winifred's feet. Those pink princess slippers, I had worn them for years. Swain had bought them for me. "Where did you go last night? Why didn't you answer your phone?" He bombarded me with questions, his voice filled with emotion. "Let's break up." I looked at him, utterly calm. He was stunned for a moment. "I wasn't feeling well last night, she just brought me home." "It's not what you think between us." He ran his fingers through his hair, agitated. "So why did you provoke me last night?" "Aubrey, it's over between us." I repeated. Only then did he panic. "Who agreed to that?" He smashed everything in my room. I just quietly watched him destroy things, finally picking up only a diary before leaving. But he snatched the diary from me as well. He flipped to the last page of the diary and read aloud. "Uncle, I've realized he's different from you. I don't like him." He stared at the page, his lips trembling slightly. "What does this mean?" I stood there, my mind completely blank. Any hope of an amicable separation seemed to have vanished. "Who have you been replacing me with?" Aubrey asked, his voice strained. "I'm sorry," I mumbled, clutching the diary to my chest. As soon as I uttered those words, I watched as Aubrey's face turned pale with anger, then flushed red. His breathing became labored, and he could barely stand. I rushed Aubrey to the hospital, where his condition stabilized. When he opened his eyes, his first question was, "Who is he?" "You don't need to know," I replied softly. "Are you telling me that for the past 3 years, you've been imagining me as someone else?" His voice was barely above a whisper. I paused, considering how to approach this conversation. "Didn't you say you could live without me?" He closed his eyes. "Of course." "Then I'm relieved," I said. He glanced at me, then turned away, refusing to speak. "Get well soon." "I'm leaving now," I said, moving towards the door. "Get out," he spat. As I reached the doorway, I nearly collided with his parents. I froze for a moment, catching the words Swain Thornton. "Your uncle has been found. He's on a flight back to England now. He'll come straight to the hospital to see you," I heard his mother say. In that moment, my mind went completely blank. Swain had been found? Was he alive? I left the room and waited in the corridor for an hour until his parents had gone. Then I returned to Aubrey's room. Aubrey's face lit up when he saw me. "I thought you were leaving. Couldn't stay away, could you?" I picked up an apple and began to peel it, my hands shaking. "I'll go in a bit." My mind was racing, trying to figure out how to get more information about Swain. "So why the tough act earlier?" Aubrey asked, relaxing as I fed him a slice of apple. "That other man, you made him up to upset me, didn't you?" I hesitated before speaking. "Earlier. I heard you talking about Swain?" "Yes, my uncle. He's a brilliant entrepreneur. A few years ago, his plane went down. Mom said the plane made an emergency landing on water and several people managed to swim to a small island and survive. Uncle Swain was one of them." "That's wonderful," I began, but before I could finish, "Uncle!" Aubrey exclaimed excitedly. Following Aubrey's gaze, I turned to see a man standing in the doorway. He wore a black suit, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. The light from the hallway cast his shadow long across the floor, reaching my feet. This reunion felt like it spanned a century. One glance was enough to bring tears to my eyes. As he stepped into the room, the knife slipped from my hand, nicking my finger. I barely felt the pain. "How clumsy of you," Aubrey chided. "Are you hurt?" Swain asked simultaneously. For a moment, the air in the room grew thick with tension. "Do you have a plaster?" Swain inquired, moving closer. He took a cotton swab, applied some antiseptic, and expertly bandaged my cut. "Thank you," I murmured. He raised an eyebrow. "No uncle anymore?" At that moment, I felt a lump in my throat, and tears were about to fall. "Does it hurt that much?" "Uncle Swain, please be gentle," Aubrey Thornton said anxiously from his hospital bed. Just then, a girl entered the room. "Is this Aunt Theodora?" Aubrey looked at the young woman beside Swain Thornton. "Uncle, Aunt, this is my girlfriend, Meredith West." Swain and I were both stunned. Swain glanced at me, then at Aubrey, with an emotion in his eyes I couldn't decipher. I turned to look at his girlfriend as well. She appeared very gentle, the kind even I couldn't dislike. Had he married? In an instant, my mood plummeted from the joy of seeing him to hitting rock bottom. The lady was called Theodora Gower, whom he had brought back from abroad. Aubrey and Swain chatted animatedly for a while, and the topic eventually turned to me. "She's always clinging to me, yet constantly annoying me. I'm in hospital because of her," Aubrey complained about me to Swain. "I've never met anyone as troublesome as her." "She is quite a handful," Swain asked casually. "How long have you been together?" 3 years now, and I feel controlled every day." "Isn't that irritating?" Swain glanced at me. "That's quite a while." I listened to their conversation from the side, feeling anxious. Later, when I said I had to leave, Aubrey asked his uncle to let me stay for the night. "Uncle, can Meredith stay at your place tonight? We had a row at home yesterday, and it's still a mess, not tidied up yet." Swain paused for a moment. "You're living together?" His question was directed at me accusingly. "Uncle, we're university students now, we're adults." "You're not going to tell my parents, are you?" "And her parents don't mind?" "No one looks after her." "No one looks after her?" Swain kept staring at me, making me feel guilty. Because Swain had always taught me never to stay overnight at a boy's house, let alone live together. "Will you come to see me tomorrow morning?" Aubrey Thornton held my hand. Hearing his voice, Swain Thornton stopped, his gaze fixed on Aubrey's hand holding mine. I instinctively pulled away. "We'll see," I said. "What's wrong now?" Aubrey persisted. "You're so annoying," I blurted out, feeling a bit anxious. Aubrey's eyes widened in disbelief. Swain walked about a meter away from me, his whole demeanor radiating coldness. As we reached the garage, he sat in the back seat. I hesitated for a moment before voluntarily taking the front passenger seat. "Come sit in the back," he said, gesturing to the rear seat with his eyes and smiling wryly. "I won't bite, you know." I reluctantly moved to the back, and Theodora Gower took the front passenger seat. "Mr. Thornton, shall we go to the office or the venue?" Theodora began her work report. Swain glanced at me. "Home," he said. "Home?" Theodora looked at him in surprise. "Family matters to attend to." His words, though softly spoken, made my nerves tense up. Half an hour later, Swain leaned against the doorframe of my room, surveying the layout inch by inch. "Haven't been staying here?" he asked. I pretended to tidy my wardrobe. "Well, you weren't around, and I was scared on my own." "Scared of what?" "Not scared when living with someone else?" His words made me flush with emotion. After a while, he softened his tone. "Did he throw things at you?" "No," I replied. Aubrey might have lost his temper, but he hadn't actually hit me with anything. "Go and bring your things back," Swain said. "Why?" I asked, feeling a bit annoyed. He was married now, so why should I move back? Where would I sleep, between the two of them? I wasn't here before, but I'm back now. How can I let you carry on like this? You disappeared for 3 years without a word. What right do you have to control me now that you're back? That's not a reason for you to go and live with someone else, he said, his face darkening with genuine anger. Why did you seek him out? You know the reason yourself, don't you? As I listened to him speak, my heart skipped a beat. He must have read the emails I sent him. For 3 years when he was missing, everyone said he was dead. I couldn't accept it, so I kept sending him emails with my diary entries. For 3 years, I never stopped, even though he never replied. I had started to believe he would never come back. Who knew he wasn't actually dead, and had been reading them all along? He now knew that I had been using Aubrey as his substitute. I suddenly lost my confidence, but I wasn't ready to back down. Am I not allowed to like him? I challenged. Swain gave me an exasperated look. With your princess attitude, do you really think you could handle him? He's handsome, and younger than you. Why shouldn't I like him? Uncle, it's strange. We haven't seen each other for 3 years, you've married someone else, and now you won't let me date. The mention of his marriage irritated me to no end. He stood there, staring at me for a long moment. Who got married? Didn't you marry that Theodora? She's my assistant, he said, rubbing his temples. So after 3 years, you're still upset about this? Do you expect me to stay single forever? I'm not upset anymore. I have no right to be, I said, trying to be mature. No right? You have every right. You always manage to drive people up the wall. He hesitated for a moment, then brought out a cup of tea. Drink this. I looked at him, both amused and annoyed. Uncle, I'm 21 now. I don't need to drink tea like a child anymore. Already 21? He seemed lost in thought, suddenly realizing I wasn't that little girl anymore. Later, he retreated to his room, and I stayed in mine. We didn't say anything more. The next day, a few of Swain's mates came over to welcome him back. I had just come out to fetch some water when I overheard their conversation. The previously lively atmosphere suddenly quieted down upon my arrival. Everyone in the room turned to look at me in unison. Thornton, you've got a real beauty hidden away here, one of them remarked. Lucky devil, another chimed in. His mates teased him playfully. He exhaled a puff of smoke and glanced at them. Keep talking rubbish and you'll all be out on your ear. Come on, Thornton, don't be so harsh. We haven't seen you in 3 years. Can't you be a bit gentler with your old mates? Who's joking? Swain's domineering presence silenced them. They shut their mouths. You and your big mouth. Isn't that Thornton's niece? Meredith, right? Meredith? My, how she's grown. The little girl who was still on the bottle is now quite the looker. One of the men approached me. Meredith, I'm your Uncle Charlie. Fancy exchanging numbers on WhatsApp? He had just pulled out his phone when. Do you have a death wish? Swain stubbed out his cigarette and stood up, his face darkening. It's just exchanging numbers, Thornton. No need to be so protective. Swain completely ignored him and walked over to me. Go back to your room. Don't mind them. All of you, out, Swain said impatiently, pointing towards the front door. But Thornton, what about our get-together? It's over. After everyone had left, Swain came to my room. Don't listen to their nonsense. Which part? I asked him with a smile. Which part don't you want me to hear, Uncle? He froze, none of it. What if I've taken it all to heart? He sighed, you're grown up now, more mature. You should understand that we can't be together. Don't be childish. He rejected me again. I felt a bit hurt, but replied obediently, all right, goodbye, Uncle. Where are you going? To meet someone I might like, your nephew. He didn't say anything, just looked at me. In fact, I had received a message from Aubrey. Why didn't you come again today? Have you left? I hadn't replied, nor did I plan to go. Are you still playing games? Swain looked at me. How long do you intend to keep this up with him? Why do you think I'm playing, uncle? He rubbed his temples, deciding to be frank with me. You're using him as a substitute. It's not good for him or for you, he said, looking at me seriously. When you know something is wrong, you should stop immediately. Don't keep making the same mistake. I stood there, stunned. What if I'm not pretending anymore? It's been 3 years. It's not impossible that I've fallen for him. He may look like you, but he's 9 years younger. He's smarter, and we have more in common. I was about to leave when he pulled me back. Let's talk properly. I lost my balance and fell into his arms. He reflexively steadied me by the waist. Feeling the warmth of his palm, my heart started racing and my face began to flush. How shall we talk? In your arms, uncle? I looked up at him with a smile, standing on tiptoe until my nose brushed his Adam's apple. Uncle, I've grown taller. I can reach you now. His body instantly stiffened. Before I could tease him further, he pushed me away. Stand properly and talk sensibly. I won't. He looked at me, seemingly at a loss. Before he could get angry, I slipped away. I returned to university and moved back into my dormitory. In no time, the entire campus knew that Aubrey Thornton had dumped me. Hazel and Goldsby came to me, cautiously asking, "Is it really over?" Yes. I always said that rotten avocado wasn't good enough for you. If you need to cry, just lean on my shoulder. I looked at her. I don't want to cry. A group of nosy onlookers gathered at the door of our room. Their eyes were filled with sympathy, and even a hint of schadenfreude. Hazel, unable to contain her anger, went over to argue with the group. After the heated exchange, she returned to my side, fuming. They're all girls. How can they be so malicious towards another girl? Just ignore them, I paused, then added, actually, I was the one who wanted to break up. You can't fool me. I feel so bad for you, Hazel enveloped me in a hug. Meaning that scumbag, you must have used up all your bad luck from 8 lifetimes. How could I explain that I really was the one who wanted to end things? Just then, Winifred Faraday, the most popular girl in our class, arrived. Things got even more lively. Winifred said to me, Aubrey Thornton wants you to go downstairs. I don't want to go. If you don't go, he won't leave. I felt a headache coming on. He dumps you and then comes looking for you? Is he mental? Does he want to hurt you again? Hazel raised her fist. I'll go down with you. Let's see if he dares to act up. All right. When we got downstairs, Aubrey was standing there wearing sunglasses and holding a cup of English breakfast tea. Upon seeing me, he seemed to want to rush over but then appeared to sulk, waiting for me to approach him instead. Why didn't you answer my calls? He demanded. Busy. Busy? Busy with what? Sleeping. You'd rather sleep than reply to my messages? He removed his sunglasses, his mood visibly souring. Didn't want to reply. Hazel stood beside me, her eyes nearly popping out in shock. What do you mean? Aubrey's temper flared. We've broken up, I calmly watched as he gradually lost control of his emotions. Broken up? You were by my side at the hospital just yesterday. Are you playing games with me? I remained silent for a few seconds before reminding him, people are watching. Let's be civil about this. When others ask, I've been telling them you dumped me. Meredith West. His face reddened with anger. Have a good talk with her, I said, gesturing towards Winifred standing at the entrance. With that, I returned to my dormitory. In the second month, the university arranged internships, and I applied for a position at Thornton Group. He didn't know. During the second week of the internship, Swain Thornton walked through the lobby with a group of investors, passing right by me. He wore a white shirt, leading the pack, with people walking beside him, discussing something while he listened intently, occasionally nodding. I stood up, staring at him in a daze. Uncle is so charming when he's working. Meredith, hurry up, the team leader is asking for you," my colleague suddenly called out to me. The group in front suddenly stopped moving. He turned around, looking through the crowd until he saw me. Though I slipped away in a second. In the end, he still caught me in the lift. Not going home, but coming to my company without telling me? I didn't want people to say I got in through connections. He paused for 2 seconds, the corner of his mouth curving into a smile. "You've really grown up." He noticed the large cardboard box in my hands. "Can you manage that? Aren't you usually unable to even open a bottle of water?" "Let me take it." "No." I hugged the box a little closer. "Uncle, you'd better keep your distance, it doesn't look good to others." "What's not good about it?" He chuckled, then authoritatively took the box. "I'll just carry it to the lift, then give it back to you." Looking at him in his bespoke suit, helping me carry the box, it did seem a bit comical, but I still felt a warmth in my heart. As the lift opened, he handed the box back to me. "What time does your team finish?" 5:30. "Wait for me in the car park." "Oh," I squeezed out with the box and ran off in a flash. "Where are you?" He texted me at 5:30. "I've gone back to uni," I replied from the tube. "Quite the trickster, aren't you?" "People have to grow up, that's what you said, Uncle." "Fine, I did say that." He sent another voice message. "When are you coming home?" "Next month, maybe." He paused. "Didn't you used to say in 6th form that you couldn't sleep well in the dorms, the food at school wasn't good, and you wanted to come home every week?" "I'm not coming back. Isn't it more convenient for Uncle to bring women home?" "Sharp-tongued, aren't you?" "What women?" "I've only seen Swain Thornton once during my month at the company. In truth, I've secretly seen him many times outside the meeting room, in the corridor, in the lobby. Like a lovesick fool, I could only steal glances at him from afar, too timid to approach. I want to see him, yet I don't want to hear his rejection. It's quite the dilemma. I don't want to go home, unsure how to face him. Somehow Aubrey Thornton found out where I'm interning and came to confront me. "Why didn't you tell me you're interning at my uncle's company? Should I put in a good word for you?" "No need," I replied. Just off work and cornered at the company entrance, I felt rather annoyed. "Meredith, I've got 2 tickets to a Studio Ghibli film." "Aren't those your favorite?" "Thanks, but take Winifred instead." "I'm still working." "What's your problem?" "No problem. I'm just busy. Everyone knows you're madly in love with me." "Have you forgotten?" "What game are you playing now? Are you going to write another emotional essay begging for me later?" "I won't write anymore." "You always say that, but end up doing it anyway." "Do you think I'll believe you this time?" Just then, Swain Thornton came out of the company. "Uncle?" Aubrey called out. Swain glanced at him, then at me. "What are you doing here?" "I'm here to pick up my girlfriend." "Is that so?" "Can't help it, she's so clingy." Swain just smiled. "Well, you might not be able to pick her up today. Her team leader wants her to work overtime." "Uncle, can't you give her a day off?" "She's my girlfriend. The project deadline is tight." He gestured towards a Rolls-Royce parked nearby. "Let my driver take you home." After sending Aubrey away, I followed Swain upstairs. "What's the overtime for?" I asked. I couldn't really read his emotions. He had been cold since earlier. "Are you still seeing him?" he asked. "Uncle, are you worried I'll ruin your nephew?" "Can I ruin you instead?" "Don't be ridiculous." He tossed me a book. "Reformat this. I'll take you home afterwards." I didn't resist further. When I finished obediently, he looked it over. "You've improved a lot. I never noticed you were so meticulous before. I never knew Uncle was so good at compliments either." After tidying up the documents, we went to the car park together. As he reached for the car door, I wasn't watching my step and nearly tripped, almost falling onto him. To steady myself, I grabbed his abdomen. Even through the fabric, I could feel his abdominal muscles. Realizing this, I blushed. "Where are you touching?" His expression was slightly bewildered, but mostly blank. Slipped, I explained. He clearly didn't believe me, staring at me for a few seconds before pressing his hand over mine, as if afraid I'd rip open his shirt. In fact, I wanted to. As we drove along the road, he glanced at me from time to time. Going home? He asked. Never mind. My friends, those uncles of yours, bought you some avocados and such. They're about to go off. You can have them. I can't stand those. I'm busy. Busy flirting with my nephew? I felt a headache coming on. Just because he saw Aubrey looking for me, he acted so nonchalant earlier, but now he brings it up again. Uncle, are you jealous? I asked with a smile. What do you think? I'm warning you, don't play with fire. Well, thank you for that. In the end, I went back to university. Later, I heard that Aubrey Thornton was dating Winifred Faraday, the class beauty. Their presence could be felt in every corner of the campus. Their sweet daily life was posted on Reddit, and my past attempts at wooing him were dug up and mocked. The comments were mostly about how Winifred was his true love, and I was just a loser with nothing to offer. Faced with all this, I could only smile. After graduation, our class organized a reunion. I had heard that Aubrey was taking Winifred to Ibiza, so he wouldn't be coming. That's why I decided to attend. But no sooner had I sat down than Aubrey and Winifred arrived together. Someone even deliberately arranged for them to sit next to me. The awkward scene of exes meeting, with tension in the air, was to be the highlight of the evening. Right beside me, they were feeding each other, making me feel a bit nauseous. I got up to use the loo. Passing by a private room, I overheard someone mentioning Swain. I couldn't help but stop. Mr. Thornton, we've introduced you to so many, but you're not satisfied with any. What kind of woman are you looking for? Did I ask for your help? You've been distracted and moody lately. Is it not because of a woman? Get out. Swain's been in a bad mood recently? But I hadn't noticed anything unusual when I saw him at the company. How come we haven't seen your niece in a while? She's throwing a tantrum, won't come home. Not coming home means she's run off with some boy. Girls grow up, they don't need their uncles anymore, his friend teased. Feeling it wasn't right to eavesdrop, I turned to leave, but saw Hazel. Through the crack in the door, she had also spotted Swain. Isn't that the man from your photo? Oh my god, he's even more handsome in person. You don't have a crush on him, do you? I covered her mouth and pulled her aside, pondering for a long while before speaking. For the first time, I told my friend about my relationship with Swain. She was shocked after hearing it. So he's the one who wouldn't let you get a tattoo or date in sixth form? I nodded. But you got one anyway, right? By the way, what's your uncle's name? Swain Thornton. Swain Thornton? St, aren't those the initials tattooed on you? You don't actually fancy your uncle. Hazel's jaw dropped in disbelief. What did you say? A male voice suddenly appeared. Oh no. It was Aubrey. He rushed over, yanked open the shoulder of my dress, and saw the letters Saint. His whole demeanor changed. Winifred hurried over too. What's going on? Nobody interfered today. Aubrey's grip was strong as he pulled at my clothes, interrogating me. Meredith, tell me clearly, who did you take me for? Perhaps due to extreme anger, his face began to turn an abnormal shade of red. I knew he was having an episode. Let go, I broke free, patting his back, deep breaths. Don't touch me. He strangely pushed my hand away, his face getting redder. Do you want to die? I took out the emergency medicine I always carried and made him swallow it. You still carry my medicine? Don't talk. I used to worry about his whereabouts, so I'd always bring his medicine when I went out. In the end, it became a habit. It's still in my bag now because I was too lazy to take it out. A few classmates came over, and everyone helped him outside to rest. After he gradually recovered, he asked me with reddened eyes, "What did those 3 years mean to you?" I calmly said, "You're not in my heart." Indeed, he had never entered my heart. Not wanting to give him any hope, I added, "I did like you before, I pursued you wholeheartedly. I don't owe you anything. Now I don't like you anymore, and that's the truth." He stared at me for a full minute, looking at me in disbelief. "Just because my uncle came back? So you don't even want to pretend anymore, right?" I remained silent. At this moment, Swain had also come out, though I didn't know when. "Go to the hospital." Swain drove, and I followed him to the hospital. Aubrey was lying in the ward undergoing examinations, while Swain and I stood in the corridor outside. "Are you satisfied now that it's come to this?" he asked me. "Why did you put yourself in such a difficult situation?" Inside was his nephew, and I was just an adopted daughter with no blood relation. Because of my willfulness, I had caused him trouble. He must hate me now. I didn't know where to begin explaining. 3 years had passed. The flower beds along the streets had turned green, then red, then yellow. Everyone else had returned to normal life, but I still couldn't move on. Others had other friends and relatives they could cherish more. But from beginning to end, he was my only family. How could I forget him? "Stop crying." Although Swain was very angry, he still raised his hand to wipe my tears, his heart aching. But soon after, Aubrey's mother rushed over and slapped me across the face. "So it's you, you vixen. You ill-bred thing, first seducing your own uncle, and now seducing our Aubrey. I said from the start that a child no one wanted should have died in the orphanage. Swain, look at this ungrateful wretch you've raised. She won't be satisfied until she destroys our whole family." I was left dizzy and seeing stars from her slap. Memories from 10 years ago came flooding back. 10 years ago, when the Thornton Group was at the top of national rankings, they came to the orphanage for a charity event. Aubrey's mother had said to me after I was pushed over by the crowd, "Would you like to come with Auntie? Auntie will give you a home." Having never felt a mother's love before, it was the first time I felt loved. I nodded and went with her. That year, news that the Thornton Group CEO's wife had adopted an orphan girl as her daughter shocked the nation. Their stock prices soared, and they made a fortune. I didn't care. I was just grateful to finally have a mother. However, after the media frenzy died down, they started passing me around like a hot potato. "My son's abroad, you know, with quite a temper. If he finds out I've adopted a girl, he'll throw a fit for sure. My sister-in-law didn't want me. I'm not even married yet. I can't be saddled with a child. My second sister refused as well. In the end, they dumped me on Swain, who was still at university. I'm a university student. How am I supposed to raise a daughter?" Swain said helplessly. "I can't even cook." I timidly tugged at the hem of his shirt. I can cook." He suddenly bent down and looked at me seriously. "You can cook too? How capable you are." In reality, after adopting me, he hired a housekeeper to cook. I never once participated in meal preparation. After Swain took me in, he never brought me back to the Thornton family. "You'd only feel uncomfortable there. No need to try and please them." I also never saw the aunt who had said she'd give me a home and be like a mother to me. 10 years later, meeting again, she didn't even bother to pretend. Her words and actions were full of disgust towards me. At that moment, I didn't hate anyone. I just felt a bit sad. I'm not dead yet. "Sister-in-law, instead of educating your own son, you come here to throw a fit?" Swain forcefully pulled me behind him. "The person I raised is none of an outsider's business to discipline." "Swain, how can you side with an outsider?" Aubrey's mother grew agitated. "I raised her. How is she an outsider?" "If we're talking about outsiders, sister-in-law, you don't seem to consider yourself one at all. I've been gone for 3 years, and you've swallowed up 20% of my shares. Isn't it time we settle that account?" Seeing Swain's anger, Aubrey's mother turned pale with fright. "Swain, listen to me. This vixen used to follow my son around like a dog, just looking for a shortcut. Don't let her fool you. I don't hit women, but sister-in-law, if you push me too far, I might make an exception for you." Swain tossed out these words, then took my hand and left. "Does it hurt?" Swain Thornton carefully examined my face inside the car. "No, it doesn't," I replied, keeping my face still. Why didn't you dodge? He sounded a bit angry. I hadn't even tried to dodge, and they were already calling me ill-mannered. Uncle, that's an insult to you. He glanced at me and chuckled, though still annoyed. Remember this, when they hit you, they're slapping my face. Next time, hit back hard. Got it? All right. Swain found an ice pack and applied it to my face. I was still in shock from recent events. Uncle, did I do something wrong again? Will you leave me like before? I can't move on. I didn't mean to treat Aubrey Thornton that way. At first, I just watched him. I did things for him without expecting anything in return. I admit I wanted to atone. For 3 years, I watched him flirt with other girls. It hurt, but I didn't dare say anything. I had feelings too, but he gradually wore them away. I just wanted to end things amicably. Did I do something wrong? Swain looked at me seriously. Do you know how much it pains me to see you humbling yourself to him out of guilt? You're so silly. The plane crash was an accident. It had nothing to do with you. You don't owe anyone anything. You don't need to feel guilty. But you disappeared because of my recklessness. Every night I have nightmares of you covered in blood. He frowned, then sighed and hugged me. It's all right. I'm back now. Don't be afraid. At that moment, my mind went blank and I kissed him impulsively. Don't, his words were cut off by my lips. For an instant, the world went silent. There was only his warm breath and my racing heart. Before he could react, I pulled away. Meredith, he hesitated. We can't be together. Is that what you want to say, Uncle? He sighed and started lecturing me again. You're still young. It's just a passing fancy. You'll regret it later. Uncle, if I marry someone else in the future, will you regret it? Do you really not like me? If not, then why? I placed my finger on his chest. Why is your heart beating so fast? He fell silent. I smiled through my tears and tentatively kissed the corner of his lips again. He still refused, but not as firmly as before. Afraid I might fall, he held my waist. His hand was so large that it encompassed my entire waist with one gentle grip. A tingling sensation spread from my waist, and I suddenly came to my senses. I remembered the dream I had that night. In the dream, he held my waist like this and whispered in my ear, "Why so delicate? Just wait a bit longer, darling." Finally, I retreated on my own. Weren't you bold just now? He looked at my blushing face teasingly. Everything I had imagined was just a scene from my dream. I couldn't meet his eyes anymore. Swain's gaze remained fixed on me. When we got out of the car, he tried to carry me, but I dodged and ran upstairs. I think I've messed things up again. Later, I returned to my normal routine at work, as if nothing had happened between us. After work, I went back to university and encountered Aubrey Thornton near the sports field. He looked unwell, his usual arrogance gone. Would you like to watch me play basketball? Want to see me on the court? He reached out to grab my arm, but I dodged him. I actually don't like basketball, I said truthfully. Are you with my Uncle Swain now? He finally asked the question that was bothering him. No. He doesn't fancy you, does he? He seemed to regain some energy. So, do you want to forget and start over? No, I refused him. You should rest. Maybe skip basketball for now. With that, I walked away. He called out my name, but this time I didn't look back. That evening, Hazel rushed to find me, excited. Meredith, you won't believe it. Aubrey Thornton wrote a long post on Reddit, over 1,000 words, begging you to get back together. I opened my laptop and saw the lengthy post. The words I had once written so humbly, he had now learned to use, repeating them himself. At the end, he wrote, "I'm sorry. I didn't know how to cherish you before. Now I've realized I'm in too deep and can't escape. Could you please look at me one more time? I had never seen Aubrey Thornton so humble before. I felt no emotion, just irony. "Why does he like you again?" Hazel asked me. "I don't know. When I liked him, he treated me like dirt. Now that I don't like him, he treats me like a treasure. I suppose being a jerk is a common disease among men. But I'm not used to indulging this flaw of his." Finally, I logged into my account and replied to his post with one sentence: "You're annoying." As soon as the comment was published, it went viral. The post became a hot topic of discussion. Now Aubrey Thornton had become the one chasing after me. After work, Swain caught up with me. "Can we talk?" he asked. "I'm busy," I replied. "Meredith, we need to sort this out. You understand that, right?" "I really don't have time. I've got dinner plans tonight." "Dinner? Until when?" "I don't know." Later, he ended up at the department dinner. With a big boss joining, the atmosphere changed completely. Everyone was on edge. When people came to toast Swain, I intercepted their drinks. "Boss, I'll drink for you," I said. Swain and the other colleagues looked at me strangely. "He's not feeling well," I explained. After that, everyone's expressions became even more peculiar. Swain has a heart condition and can't drink alcohol, but I couldn't reveal his private medical information. I was in a difficult position. I quietly drank several glasses. Swain's face grew increasingly grim. He took away the glass in front of me, forbidding me from drinking any more. As the evening progressed, everyone finally started to relax. Swain stayed close to me the whole time, neither drinking himself nor allowing me to drink. On the way back, he asked why I had drunk so much. "We need to talk about our situation properly. Drinking won't solve anything. You've had so much to drink. What are you planning to do to me?" I slurred. "I have no such intentions. It's just habit." Aubrey loves going out with friends. He can't drink because of his condition, so I always cover for him. The alcohol was hitting me hard now, and my thoughts were becoming muddled as I continued talking. At first, I'd pass out after one glass. He and his mates would make fun of me. When I woke up, he'd scold me for embarrassing him. But after a while, I could handle 10 bottles no problem. I swayed unsteadily. "Uncle, aren't I impressive?" "Don't mention him," Swain said, his expression darkening. I decided to just let it all out. "You don't even like me anyway." He tried to reason with me. "First of all, I raised you. How can you distinguish between love and dependency? Secondly, you're still involved with my nephew, yet you say you like me. What does that make me?" "The other woman," I blurted out. I immediately regretted my brainless response and wanted to smack myself. Seeing my state, he seemed at a loss. "Are your feelings for me just a childish whim, or do you simply find this whole situation amusing?" My brain couldn't process his words properly. I retorted, "How am I involved with him? What about that little essay he wrote for you? What was that about?" Actually, after I replied to Aubrey that night, he deleted the post the same evening because he couldn't stand being called a simp. So how were we involved? Wait, how did Swain know about this? Had he been secretly keeping tabs on me? I scrutinized Swain. "Uncle, are you jealous?" "What on earth would I be jealous of?" Still not convinced, I tried to find any trace of jealousy in his demeanor. After pondering for a moment, I took out my phone and started composing a message to Aubrey. This time, I wrote a proper essay to make things crystal clear I didn't like him anymore, and he needed to stop pursuing me. When I finished, I showed my phone to Swain. "Is this okay?" He replied awkwardly, "You certainly know his number by heart." As soon as I sent it, Aubrey responded with an explosive message, clearly frustrated and angry. "I'm getting married. Will you come?" Looks like my essay was unnecessary after all. I immediately deleted the long message I'd sent and simply replied, "I'll send a wedding gift." After finishing this exchange, I showed my phone to Swain again. "See, Uncle? You're not the other woman anymore." He chuckled at my antics. "Uncle, can I kiss you?" I boldly asked. "You're pushing your luck," he said. He didn't accept, but he didn't refuse either. "No reaction at all," I complained. "What kind of reaction were you expecting?" he asked, looking at me with amusement. "If I really reacted, are you sure you wouldn't cry?" "What do you mean?" "Silly girl," he said softly, returning my kiss. "Don't always smile at me like that. It makes me feel like I'm committing a crime." His sudden kiss made me blush furiously. "Uncle, you're crossing a line," I mumbled. "Whose fault is that?" he replied. He took off his suit jacket and wrapped it around me, intending to carry me home. "I can walk," I protested. "Your face is so red." "Are you sure you want to walk by yourself?" Once we got home, he set me down in the bedroom, supporting himself with one hand above me. At this moment, he was less than an inch away from me. My heart was racing, feeling both nervous and elated. "Still want to tease me?" he asked, gazing at me tenderly. I felt like I was drowning in his warmth. "What does Uncle want me to do?" I asked. In truth, I had no experience. I acted bold normally, but when it actually came down to it, I was so nervous I felt sick. "Want you to what?" he said, tucking me in properly before standing up and walking towards the door. "Where are you going?" I asked, pulling the covers up to my eyes. "Back to my room to sleep." "Uncle." He paused at the doorway, looking back at me. "Can't you sleep with me?" I was so embarrassed by my own words that I wanted to bury myself. He stood at the door, smiling. "Get some sleep." "Okay, one last question," I persisted. "Will Uncle regret this in the morning?" He looked at me and smiled. "Why don't you ask me in the morning?" With that, he turned off the lights and slowly walked away. The next day, I really went to ask him. His dark circles were heavy. "Didn't you sleep?" I inquired. "Couldn't fall asleep," he replied. "Why? Why do you think?" He looked at me irritably. "Do you regret it then?" He gazed at me, gesturing for me to come closer. I shuffled over to him, and he suddenly pulled me onto his lap. Then, lowering his head, he gave me a gentle kiss. I wouldn't dare. His response, neither a clear yes nor no, felt like he was indulging me a bit. Early in the morning, my heart was already filled with sweetness because of his words. "What about you? Did you sleep well last night?" he asked. "It was all right." "What do you mean by all right?" I stared at his slightly parted lips. "I had a very exciting dream." "Oh. What kind of dream?" He looked at me with interest, observing my reaction. "Was it something like this?" He gently kissed my forehead, making my heart skip a beat. "Yes," I admitted honestly. "How about this?" His lips found mine. "Yes. And this?" His lips were about to touch my ear when I felt my blood rush. "Yes." His kiss suddenly stopped a short distance from my ear, not moving any closer. "What's going on in that head of yours?" Feeling embarrassed again, I started to say, "Swain." Before I could finish, my mouth was covered with his. This time it was Swain Thornton who initiated a real, genuine kiss. In just a few seconds, my head was spinning, and I could barely keep my hands on his shoulders. "Remember to breathe, silly," he said, nuzzling my nose with his. After what felt like an eternity, he finally released me. "All right, I'll let you off," he said, catching his breath. "I need to go to work." "Shall I give you a day off to rest?" "What about you?" "I have to go." He set me down and straightened his clothes. "Then I'll go too," I said, grabbing my bag. "I actually have an important document to work on today." He glanced at me, frowning. "There's no need to push yourself so hard. I can really manage it." I didn't tell him that I also wanted to stand proudly by his side. From high school until now, this dream had never changed. Finally, Uncle Swain and I are together. Every step feels like walking on clouds, almost too sweet to be real. At work, we still pretend not to know each other, each busy with our own tasks. After work, I always leave first, occasionally going home but spending most of my time in my university dorm. Why aren't you coming home again? He asks. I have to finish a PowerPoint presentation tonight, I reply. In truth, it's my little trick to play it cool. I'm afraid he'll get bored of me in a few days, so I carefully maintain a certain distance, not daring to let him know how much I like him. After all, he's never actually said he loves me. Even after dating for 2 months, the most daring thing we've done is kiss. I'm really frustrated. Am I not attractive to him? I wonder. I've never dated, but the internet says men in their 30s aren't as vigorous as those in their 20s, Hazel gossips on the side. We scour the internet and come to a conclusion: he must have heart problems, that's why he can't perform. I've made up my mind, I declare. What? Starting today, I'm going to be a warrior of pure love. Hazel looks at me strangely. So, should I give you back the manga I just downloaded? I hesitate for a second. Let's start tomorrow then. I regret it that night. I hide in my room, appreciating the manga, while seeing Swain reading on the sofa. It takes all my willpower not to go over and kiss him. What's wrong? Why is your face so red? He asks. It's hot, I reply. It's 18 degrees outside. Still hot. Just as I'm about to leave, he blocks my door. You've been back for half an hour, and you didn't answer when I knocked. What were you doing? I quickly run in front of him to hide what's inside. I was working on a project. Didn't hear you, I say. What project is so secretive? Before I can finish speaking, he barges into my room. I nervously look over. Oh no! Uncle! I react, trying to grab my tablet, but I miss. Swain holds my tablet high, carefully examining the manga on the screen. He looks for a few moments, his smile freezing. I recall that the page was fairly normal. Both characters were clothed, except the man was in a suit and the woman was in a bunny girl costume. I wish I could disappear into the ground. Uncle, give it back! It's so embarrassing, I'm about to cry. No wonder your face is so red. You like reading this kind of thing? Swain takes another look before lowering his head to face me. Everyone reads it, not just me, I protest. But for you girls to read these. He hesitates. Isn't it bad for your health? My face turns bright red. I'm in my 20s, why can't I read it? Even 17 and 18-year-old school kids read these, I argue. 17 and 18? He stares at me. Did you read these back then too? He lowers his head again, pinching my chin. Speak up. You told me you were doing homework in your room every day, but you were actually reading these? He's so close, his powerful presence makes me unable to lie. I soften my voice, not every day. He glares at me, so disobedient? He seems to feel the failure of his education for the first time, sighing helplessly. Who was the man you were thinking about back then? He asks me. I remain silent, not answering him. But he seems to know the answer, looking both shocked and resigned. You're not allowed to read these anymore. Why not? Before I can finish, he picks me up and pins me against the door, kissing me. You ask why? Am I just a decoration to you? After a long kiss, he finally lets me go. What I was expecting doesn't happen, and I feel a bit disappointed. What's wrong? He strokes my head. Not enough? Not enough. Can you stay with me, Uncle? He looks at me for a while. It's too late, we can't. He really can't perform. I don't mean that, I just want to be with you, we don't have to do anything. I pause. We've been dating for so long, but I still feel insecure and unsure. Don't do what? He looks at me, smiling. Really, I know your health isn't great, I can understand. My health isn't great, he frowns at me. In what way? What can I say? I'm afraid of hurting his pride, it's so difficult. You know, that aspect. He laughs, exasperated. Who told you that? Then he holds me again, leaning down to kiss me. This time, he doesn't let me go, smiling like a fox. I gave you a chance to escape, how come there's still a little bunny delivering itself to my door? The next morning when I woke up, he was already in the study having a video conference. He was dressed in a sharp suit, his expression serious. It was hard to connect this version of him with the man from last night. Seeing me enter, his long fingers tapped on the desk, gesturing for me to bring over that glass of milk. But right now, my body ached all over, and I had no appetite at all. "Come on, love," he said. He handed me the milk, watched me drink it, then sat back down. He firmly insisted I take the day off. "Actually, I think you need a week's rest." "You don't say." I really wanted to hit him. "Sorry, I couldn't help myself," he said. "Swain, you're ill. Don't be so closed off, it's not good for you." "Who told you I was ill?" "I've seen them, those medicines in your room." So I told him about the heart medication I'd found in his room earlier. After listening, he asked me, "Which tutor doesn't keep first aid medicines at home?" "Those were for when you drove me mad during our lessons." Only then did I realize he wasn't ill at all. "I'm sorry, am I really that dim?" I had thought my grades were quite good, that I was clever. He always praised me during our lessons, so I assumed he enjoyed teaching. "Since my darling is so concerned about me, and my health isn't great, why don't you take charge tonight?" No need to be shy. Later I learned that before he touched me, he wanted to give me time to think. "So what about now?" he asked. "Well, if that's what you want, as your girlfriend, it's my duty to make you happy." He was so dutiful in his role, I really had to thank him. After spending some cozy time with Swain, I decided to move back to my dormitory. I need to prepare for my postgraduate entrance exams. He would definitely affect my studies. Why is my little girl working so hard? He would still accompany me during my late-night study sessions, just like he used to. But I found myself constantly distracted by his presence. "I need to live my own life, Uncle." "You said so yourself. Does your life include me?" I didn't answer him. In truth, every effort I made was for my own dreams, and he was the ultimate goal of those dreams. "Can't you study at home?" "I promise I won't disturb you." I looked at him standing there in his bathrobe, fresh from the shower, as I held my luggage. I shook my head. He might not disturb me, but I knew I wouldn't be able to resist. "I'd better go back to uni," I said, almost wavering at the last second. "When will you be back?" "After the exams." He frowned as he calculated, 4 months? He seemed a bit upset, but still respected my decision. He drove me to the university, helped me settle in my room, changed the bedsheets, bought lots of snacks, and gave me detailed instructions about everything. "Don't stress yourself out. It's not the end of the world if you don't get in." "No way. I have to succeed." All right. Call me if you want to come home." After he left, I stood on the balcony, staring at his retreating figure. How could I not love him? Ever since that day when he smiled down at me and said, "You can cook too?" Such a capable girl, my heart had already made its choice. During the 4 months of my postgraduate studies, I only went home twice. But he came to see me several times. There were no kisses, no requests for me to come home. He simply accompanied me on quiet walks around the university, listening as I talked about recent events at school and vented about the difficulties I encountered during my studies. Each time, he brought me little trinkets from his business trips. "Whenever I see these things, I think you might like them, so I buy them," he said. "You call these earrings worth hundreds of thousands of pounds little trinkets?" I asked incredulously. "Money isn't important. If you like it, that's what gives it value," he replied. "I've bought you things that cost just a few pounds too. Sometimes I even think, if you wanted to take a graduation trip by train, I'd go with you. I'm 9 years older than you. If I were to die before you, I wouldn't want to leave you with any regrets. I want to let you experience everything at least once. What if I die before you?" I asked. He froze. "Then I'd take your ashes on a world tour, and finally scatter them by the sea. So in your next life, you could be a free-spirited girl, loved by many." I said it was morbid, but I was deeply moved. I had been abandoned at birth, and even when I was adopted, it was just for show. It wasn't until this most unreliable person took me in that I slowly learned what it meant to be loved. Because I was loved, I gradually learned how to love someone in return. I was a rose nurtured by his affection, blooming only in the soil of his love. Later, I succeeded in my postgraduate entrance exam. The day I received my acceptance letter, Hazel and I went to collect it together. He drove to pick us up. In the car, he smiled and congratulated me, "Well done, little Meredith." Then he pointed to a bag in the car, "Graduation gifts for you both." He had prepared a gift for Hazel too. "Your uncle is so thoughtful," Hazel remarked. Hazel's gift was a fountain pen, as she had just been accepted as a teacher. When I opened my gift, it was a ring. There was no grand ceremony. He simply slipped the ring onto my finger on the way to take me home, with my best friend in the car. There was no awkwardness, no uncomfortable silence. "I approve, I wholeheartedly approve." Hazel changed her tune in less than a minute. She lowered her voice and whispered in my ear. I looked it up. "This pen costs several £1,000s. It's like a dream pen." "Meredith, I didn't mean to. But he's given so much." She giggled. Swain knew how to win people over. Naturally, I agreed in the end. That night, Swain was in my room, holding my hand and examining the ring. "Not bad, the money was well spent." "Was it expensive?" I asked. "Not as valuable as you," he replied. Holding my hand, he said, "Your hand is so fair and soft, it barely does the ring justice." After I found out the ring cost over £500,000. "No, I'm not worthy of it," I protested. He placed my hand on his shoulder. "I think I still have room for improvement. Shall we try tonight?" "Uncle!" I exclaimed. He gazed at the tears in my eyes. "Why are you so delicate? And only I can nurture such delicacy. Is that even a proper thing to say? Uncle, are we going to sleep or not? It's almost dawn. Does my little one want to watch the sunrise?" "No, I don't." "Be good, it won't take long." On the day we got our marriage certificate, I unexpectedly saw Aubrey Thornton at the register office. I was there to get married, while he was there to get divorced. He looked at Swain and me, his eyes filled with rage. That evening, back home, he must have been feeling particularly spiteful in the dead of night, as he sent me a message from another number. "Meredith, are you asleep? I'd like to talk to you." Swain happened to see the message as it came through, and his face immediately darkened. He took my phone. "Talk about what?" "She's in the shower." "Uncle, I actually wanted to ask if you still need a best man?" "No, we don't." Swain rejected him without hesitation. "Send your aunt another late-night message, and I'll cut off your allowance." "Understood." I sat beside Swain, watching his series of actions with trepidation. When he put down the phone and looked at me, I knew it was my turn to face the music. But he said, "I'm jealous." "You need to take responsibility for that." Trembling, I asked him, "How should I do that?" "How about watching tomorrow's sunrise together?" That's not a good idea." Later, when we were chatting about why I liked him, I gave him a long explanation. Then I asked him, "Uncle, when did you start to have feelings for me?" He looked reluctant to say, but finally sighed under my insistence. "During those 3 years I was abroad, I was severely injured and lost my memory. The nurse at the care home would read the emails you wrote to me every day, helping me recover my memories. And then? For a long time, everyone thought you were my lover, even I. Hearing those emails, I thought so too. But when I regained my memory and realized you were my niece, I felt like the universe was playing a cruel joke on me." "So Uncle liked me even back then?" "Yes." We embraced and kissed until dawn. Later, as the sun broke through the clouds, he coaxed me to sleep, saying, "I love you, darling."